All right, welcome to reading Leviticus so you don't have to. Let's get right into it. Leviticus 10, exacting service. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put the fire therein and put in incense therein and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. Oh, this is 10, not 11. We already went over this. Leviticus 11. Things clean and unclean. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying to Aaron, and saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying that these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth, food, whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven foot, and cheweth the chud among the beasts that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the chud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean to you. And the coney, because he cheweth the chud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. And the hare, because he cheweth the chud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, he be cloven foot, yet he cheweth not the chud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch, they are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, of them all that move in the waters, and any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. I'm guessing that's shellfish. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever haveth fins nor scales, whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Wow, that's crazy. And these are they which ye have in abomination amongst the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. Eagles? How are eagles an abomination? I respect them. I wouldn't eat them, but I wouldn't call them an abomination. And the ossifrage. I don't even know what that is. And the osprey. I don't even know what that could be. Oh, that's a vulture. Okay. And the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gier eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, and all the fowls that creep, like cassowary and ostrich. Going up on all four shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them ye may not eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. But all other flying creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you, and for these ye shall be unclean. Whatsoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even. And whatsoever beareth aught of the carcasses of them shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof, and is not cloven foot, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you. Every one that toucheth them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all the manner of the beasts that go on all fours, those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcasses shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them all shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. They are unclean unto you. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creepeth upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret and the chameleon and the lizard. I'm wondering if you can touch these things if they're alive, but you can't eat them. And the snail and the mole, these are unclean unto you. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whatsoever thou touch them when they be dead shall be unclean until the even. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever the vessel be, wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the even. So it shall be cleansed, and every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it. Of all the meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. And every thing whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven or range for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. Nevertheless, for a fountain or pit wherein there is plenty of water shall be clean. But that which toucheth their carcass shall be unclean. If any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be unclean. But if any water be put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you. And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the even. And he hath eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. And he also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all fours, and whatsoever hath more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Ye shall not make yourselves an abomination with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourself unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourself, and ye shall be holy. For I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourself with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beasts, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the water, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten. Whoa. That's crazy. It's a good justification for not messing around with any crazy bugs. Leviticus 11 marks a massive shift in the book's operational manual. Up to this point, the laws of holiness were confined strictly to the perimeter of the tabernacle and courtyard. Now, the boundary lines of clean and unclean expand directly into the private homes and daily kitchens of the general population. This chapter introduced the foundational laws of Kashurat, the Jewish dietary laws. God established a strict taxonomy of the animal kingdom, dividing all creatures into two legal classes: clean, permissible for consumption, and unclean, completely banned and categorized as an abomination. The chapter details 4 ecological zones of animal life: land mammals, aquatic creatures, avian flying animals, insects, concluding with the laws of the secondary contamination. The text moves from what the person can eat to what a person can touch. The dead carcass of any unclean animal carries an immediate tracking line of textual defilement. If a person touches the carcass, they become unclean until evening, and they must wash their clothes. If they carry the carcass, the same rules apply. If a dead mouse, lizard, or weasel falls onto an object that inherits the defilement, wooden vessels, clothes, and skins must be soaked in water and remain unusable until evening. If the carcass touches any earthenware clay pot, the pot cannot be cleansed. It absorbs the impurity permanently into its matrix and must be physically smashed into pieces. Whoa. Dang, my green screen's crashing out. All right, the chapter wraps up laying bare to the exact psychological and theological rationale behind these intense kitchen regulations. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourself, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. Leviticus 11 completely shatters the idea that spirituality is reserved exclusively for the sanctuary or the weekly church service. By regulating the literal menu of the nation, God establishes what you do in your kitchen matters just as much as what you do at the altar. True alignment requires bringing the boundary lines of holiness into the most mundane, repetitive actions of daily life, including what you choose to put on your plate. The strict division between clean and unclean forces every Israelite to think about the distinct identity every single time they sit down to have a meal with a foreign neighbor. It serves as a continuous structural barrier against cultural assimilation. It teaches that maintaining a distinct, high-integrity identity requires building deliberate, visible boundaries into our daily habits to prevent us from absorbing the compromised patterns of the surrounding culture. The requirement to completely destroy porous clay vessels that absorb defilement while simply washing non-porous bronze or wood provides a profound lesson in vulnerability and environment. If you open your mind and your heart to toxic, compromised environments, you can easily absorb that data deep into your personal matrix. True integrity requires recognizing what materials and what mental spaces are too porous to expose to contamination, requiring absolute avoidance rather than simple cosmetic cleanup. Whoa, it's crazy. Jeez, I don't eat a whole lot of that stuff, so I'm pretty safe. But I guess today, traditionally, you got to outline all pork products, all game meats, only if the hoof isn't split, though deer are generally clean, but camel and horse are strictly banned. Any gelatin product, any crustacean, any mollusk, any bottom feeders, catfish, eel, shark, swordfish, sturgeon, no caviar, No birds of prey or scavengers. Duck, goose are permissible, but wild predatory scavenging birds like ostrich, emus, eagles, hawks, they're banned. Any bats, no reptilians or amphibians, frogs, alligators, snakes, lizards, and all modern insects, specialty cricket flowers or multi-legged swarms, with the sole exception of specific local locusts and grasshoppers. What? So Jewish people can eat grasshoppers. That's crazy. That's the one exception of all the things that creepeth upon the earth. That is pretty cool. All right. Leviticus 12, ritual requirements. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean for 7 days, according to the days of the separation from her infirmity shall she be unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. And she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks. As in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle congregation unto the priest. Why would she need to do a sin offering for just birthing a child? Who shall offer it before the Lord and make it an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. I'm not getting it. This is the law for her that hath borne a male or a female. What else could she have bore? And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and one for the burnt offering and the other for the sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean. I don't know why she's unclean. Leviticus 12 addresses the biological laws of ritual purity surrounding human reproduction, specifically focusing on postpartum period after childbirth. In the structural logic of Leviticus, this chapter expands on the concept of ritual uncleanness, tamahi. It is critical to note that the ritual impurity in the biblical system is not a moral sin, a medical disease, or a hygienic stain. Instead, it is a temporary structural state triggered whenever a human body experiences a profound encounter with the boundary line of life and death. Wow. Because the loss of blood represents the depletion of life force, childbirth temporarily disqualifies an individual from entering the high energy holy perimeter of the tabernacle. The chapter outlines the specific countdown calendars for both male and female births and details the sacrificial exit protocol to clear the slate. The structural recovery and purification track is divided into 2 distinct chronological phases. Excuse me. The lengths of these phases shift depending on the biological sex of the newborn. Once the combined countdown calendar hits 0, the mother officially concludes her purification process by bringing a dual asset portfolio to the priest at the door of the tabernacle. Asset 1, a 1-year lamb for a standard burnt offering, signifying surrender and dedication to God. And Asset 2, a young pigeon or turtle dove for the sin offering, functioning as her ritual purification mechanism to scrub away the lingering atmospheric defilement of the blood flow. That's crazy. I was thinking, like, why would that be a sin? But then you could kind of look back at the original sin of Eve. You know, she was cursed with the pain of childbirth. So, like, maybe this is still an atonement for the original sin of eating from um the the tree of knowledge. Whoa, this is crazy. God builds a structural financial protection clause directly into the baseline text of the law, protecting lower income families from a systemic debt. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and one for the burnt offering and the other for the sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean. The temporary impurity tracking for the childbirth proves that the tabernacle system was designed to protect the extreme boundary lines of reality. Giving birth brings a human being cultural event. By mandating a structural timeout from the public sanctuary, the law honors the immense physical and spiritual transition of the mother, carving out a protected season for physical rest, recovery, and bonding without immediate religious obligation. The inclusion of 2 birds, economic relief valve, demonstrates that God scales his requirement to human reality. No mother was barred from returning to the community fellowship because her family was broke. In a fascinating historical conclusion, Luke 2:22 through 24 records that when Mary gave birth to Jesus, she explicitly utilized this exact Leviticus poverty loophole, offering 2 turtle doves instead of a costly lamb. This confirms that the line of the Messiah was raised directly within the lower economic bracket of the nation. What? That's crazy. Because a woman had to bring a sin offering after giving birth, many readers assume the text implies that having children is inherently evil. However, the Hebrew chatat is a purification tool. The mother did not commit a moral crime bringing a new life into the world. Rather, she experienced a profound physical discharge of blood. The offering simply was an administrative protocol to reset her physical environment from the domain of human morality back to an uncompromised living baseline of holy camp. Whoa. I thought it was like relating back to the original sin. That's interesting. All right. Leviticus 13, leprosy. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh arising a scab or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than skin, the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day. And behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again, And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in the man, then he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if the leprosy break out abroad in the skin, the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh. Then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean. That hath the plague, it is all turned white, he is unclean. But when the raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean, and the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. And if the raw flesh turn again, and be charged unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him. And behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, that hath the plague. He is clean. The flesh also, in which, even in the skin thereof, was a boil, and is healed. And in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be shewed to the priest. And if, when the priest seeth, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair therefore be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there is no white hairs therein, and it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. But if the priest look upon it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days, and the priest shall look upon him in the 7th day. And if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. For if a man or woman have plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it is in sight deeper than the skin, there be in a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scowl, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. If the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague of the skull 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, there be in no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven. But the skull shall not he shave, and the priest shall shut up him that hath the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean. And if he shall wash his clothes and be clean, if the scale spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the scale be spread in the skin, priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the scale be in his sight at stay, that there is a black hair grown up therein, the scale is healed, and he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. And if a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin, he is unclean. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet he is clean. And he that hath his hair fallen off from the part of his head towards his face, he is forehead bald, yet he is clean. And if there be in the bald head or the bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man. He is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. It is the plague. His plague is in his head, and the leper in the womb. The plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare. And he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or linen garment, whether it be in the warp or woof or of linen or of woolen, whether it's in a skin or in anything made of skin, and if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be sewed unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it in hath the plague 7 days, and he shall look upon the plague on the 7th day. And if the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in a skin or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is spreading leprosy. It is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof or in woolen or in linen or in anything of skin wherein the plague is, for it is spreading leprosy. It shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague is not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look upon the plague after it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his color, the plague be not spread, it is unclean. Thou shalt burn in the fire. It is a fret inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look, and behold, the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. And if it appears still in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either the warp or the woof whatsoever thing of skin it be, which thou shalt wash. If the plague be departed from it, then it shall be washed the 2nd time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment of woolen or linen, either in the warp or woof or anything of skins, to pronounce it clean or pronounce it unclean. Wow, that's a long chapter. Leviticus 13 stands as as the most clinical, highly specialized chapter in the entire Pentateuch. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It details the complex legal diagnostic handbook for managing Tazarat, traditionally translated as leprosy. Through in biblical Hebrew, it refers to a broad spectrum of scaling skin diseases, mold, and industrial fabric decay. In the structural layout of the camp, the high priest and his sons do not just act as a liturgical minister, they function as a supreme public health inspector. It is vital to recognize that the diagnostic procedure outlined here is strictly non-medical. There are no prescriptions, ointments, or therapies. The priest's sole objective is to audit the surface of the body or garment to determine if the infection is harmless. Superficial inflammation, or spreading living contamination that threatens to pollute the entire community. The architecture of the chapter maps out the 4 distinct zones: surface skin anomalies, deep traumas like boils and burns, scalp and hair disorders, and extreme protocols for quarantine and fabric contamination. The priests utilize 3 core diagnostic parameters to evaluate any suspicious spot, bright patch, or swelling on a citizen's body. If a citizen fails the diagnostic checklist and receives a definitive verdict of active Tazarat, they are immediately hit with an absolute civil and social embargo. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. The individual must adopt the visual markers of a person mourning a death, tearing their garments and leaving their hair wild. They must shield their mouth with their sleeve and shout a loud warning to anyone approaching, preventing accidental proximity. They are completely evicted from their family perimeter, forced to live in absolute isolation in the raw desert sand. The final section moves from human flesh to raw materials, focusing on structural infections breaking out in woolen garments, linen wraps, or other leather skins. The priests review the material. If the discoloration shows a distinct greenish or reddish hue, the fabric is immediately quarantined for 7 days. If the spot expands across the weave on the 7th day, it is classified as a fretting leprosy. The asset cannot be salvaged or recycled. The law mandates that the entire garment or leather artifact must be completely destroyed in a bonfire to ensure the outbreak does not contaminate the inventory of the camp. Notice the priest is strictly forbidden from making snap judgments based on initial panic or personal bias. If a spot looks alarming but lacks a definitive biological marker, the priest must deploy a 7-day quarantine to gather fresh data. This teaches a monumental lesson on the conflict resolution and leadership discernment. Never execute a major decision, levy a charge, or permanently alter someone's status on the surface rumors or initial appearances. True integrity requires taking tactical pauses to let the data mature before delivering a verdict. The severe isolation of the infected person outside the camp demonstrates that the health of the collective community overrides the convenience of the individual. One unchecked spreading infection could compromise the sanctuary and wipe out the population. It reminds us that hidden, toxic, and highly contagious habits can not casually be tolerated within a team or family culture. They must be addressed decisively before the corruption of the entire group matrix. By forecasting the outcast to tear their clothes and cover up their lips, the exact structural protocols used to handle the dead corpse, the law demonstrates that the Tazarat was viewed as a visual form of creeping morality. The person's body was physically breaking down in real time. Moving them outside the camp borders was a structural reminder that the interior of the tabernacle camp is a domain of pure life, while in the space outside the perimeter belongs to the realm of decay and death. Jeez. Leviticus 14. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper in the days of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take him that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop, and the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed, and in the earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them, and the living bird, in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. And he shall sprinkle upon that is to be cleansed from leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose into the open field. And he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, and shave off his hair, and wash himself in water, that he may be clean. And if that he shall come into the camp, and shall tarry abroad about his tent 7 days, but shall be on the 7th day, that he shall shave his hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, and even his hair he shall shave off. He shall wash his clothes. Also he shall wash his flesh in water, and he shall be clean. On the 8th day he shall take 2 lambs without blemish, 1 ewe lamb for the 1st year without blemish, and 3/10 deal for fine flour for a meat offering mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest that maketh him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall take one he lamb and offer him for a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall slay the lamb in place where he shall kill the sin offering, and offer a burnt offering in the holy place. For as the sin offering is the priest's, so shall the trespass offering, it is most holy. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and he shall sprinkle of the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hands shall the priest put upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the trespass offering. And the remnant of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall pour upon the head of him that it is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord. And the priest shall offer the sin offering and make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanliness. And after he shall kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meat offering upon the altar, and the priest shall make an atonement for him, and he shall be clean. And if he be poor and cannot get so much, then he shall take 1 lamb for a trespass offering to be waived, and to make an atonement for him, and 1/10 deal of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get them. And the one shall be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. And he shall bring them on the 8th day for his cleansing unto the priest, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. He shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the toe of his right foot. And the priest shall pour the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. And the priest shall put of the oil that is in his hand upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, and upon the place of the blood of the trespass offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put upon the head of him that is to be cleansed, to make an atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall offer the one of the turtle doves, or of the young pigeons, such as he can get, even such as he is able to get, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, with the meat offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed before the Lord. This is the law of him whom is the plague of leprosy, whose hand is not able to get which pertaineth to his cleansing. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when ye become into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, and he that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seemeth to me that there is as it were a plague in the house. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priests go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house to be not made unclean. And afterward the priest shall go in to see the house, and he shall look upon the plague. And behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again in the 7th day, and shall look, and behold, of the plague be spread in the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into the unclean place. And they shall take other stones and put them in place of the stones. And he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Moreover, he that goeth in the house all the while it is shut up shall be unclean until the even. And he that lieth in the house shall wash his clothes, and he that eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest shall come in and look upon it, and behold, the plague hath not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall kill one of the birds in the earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and the cedar wood, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. And he shall let the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house. It shall be clean. This is the law for all manners of plague of leprosy and scall, and for the leprosy of a garment, and of the house, and for a rising, and for a scab, and for the bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy. Was another long chapter. Leviticus 14 deals with the highly detailed multi-stage protocol for the purification of the healed leper. While Leviticus 13 focused strictly on how to identify and banish the infected person to protect the camp, chapter 14 outlines the road back. It transitions from isolation back to the community because a person with Tazarat was legally treated as dead, their healing was viewed as a resurrection. The ritual designed to ceremonially transfer the individual out of the domain of death back into the domain of life. The chapter divides into 3 phrases: the raw wilderness ritual, the tabernacle altar offerings, and the protocol for handling structural mold and rot inside residential homes. Because the healed person is still legally unclean, they cannot enter the camp. The priest must physically step outside the camp boundaries to meet them and conduct a preliminary examination. If the priest confirms the infection is completely healed, he executes a highly symbolic, primitive-looking ceremony using 2 birds. The healed person then shaves off all their hair, including their eyebrows and beard, washes their clothes, bathes in fresh water, and is finally permitted to step back inside the camp. However, they must still camp outside their own tent for 7 days as a safety buffer. On the 8th day, they shave their hair a second time, wash again, and prepare for the final stage. On the 8th day, the candidate suffers their sacrificial assets: 2 male lambs, 1 female lamb, a grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and a log of olive oil. The officiating priest presents the candidate at the door of the tabernacle and executes a highly specific reintegration sequence. The wave offering: the priest takes 1 male lamb and the log of oil and waves them for a wave offering before the Lord. The extreme blood seal: the priest slaughters the lamb as a trespass offering. He takes the blood and applies it directly into the exact physical coordinates used during the ordination of the priest in chapter 8: the tip of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, and the great toe of the right foot. Then they perform the oil seal. The priest then takes the olive oil, sprinkles a portion of it 7 times before the Lord, and rubs it directly on top of the blood of the candidate's right ear, thumb, and toe. The remainder of the oil is then poured directly into the candidate's head. This mirrors the ordination of Aaron, effectively reconsecrating the healed outcast as a holy citizen. Just as in the sin offering laws, God builds an immediate economic relief clause into the highly detailed liturgy. If the healed person is poor and cannot afford the 3 lambs, they can substitute 2 turtle doves or young pigeons for the sin and burnt offerings, requiring only 1 lamb for the trespass offering. The application of blood and the oil to the ear, hand, and foot remains identical. The final section of the chapter looks ahead at their arrival into Canaan, where they will live in permanent stone houses rather than temporary desert tents. It details how to handle outbreaks of creeping mold, dry rot, and toxic fungus inside stone walls. Wow, the picture of the resurrection. The 2 bird ritual is a vivid visual metaphor for the transition from death to life. The first bird dies inside a fragile clay pot representing human morality, while the blood coats the second bird bearing the blood of its companion is set free to soar into the open heavens. This beautifully illustrates how the healed person is released from the bondage of their terminal diagnosis and returned to absolute freedom through a substitute's life. Applying the sacrificial blood and oil to the healed person's ear, thumb, and toe, the exact ritual used to consecrate the high priest carries a profound psychological weight. The former leper had spent months or years shouting "unclean, unclean," while living as a reject outcast in the dirt. By placing the holy elements on their extremities, God was declared to be reclaiming every dimension of their active life. What they listened to, what they worked on, and where they walked, restoring their dignity, elevating them to the same status as the rest of the community. The laws of the infected house demonstrate that contamination can settle into our physical spaces, systems, and structures. If a toxic pattern or corrupting influence continues to break out in an environment, even after thorough cleaning, the only solution is complete demolition. True integrity requires being willing to tear down compromised structures and start over rather than repeatedly plastering over deep-seated decay. Wow. These chapters are getting long. I thought Leviticus was going to be a shorter chapter or a shorter book. Oh. All right. Leviticus 15, personal cleanliness. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanliness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. Whatsoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat that hath the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in the water, and be unclean until the even. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And if that hath the issue spit upon him that is unclean, then he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that hath the issue shall be unclean, and whatsoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in the water, and be unclean until the even. And whatsoever toucheth that hath the issue, and hath not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in the water, and be unclean until the even. And the vessel of earth that he toucheth, which hath the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest. And the priest shall offer them, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord for his issue. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in the water, and be unclean until the even. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the even. The woman also with whom man shall lie with the seed of copulation, then shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the even. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in the flesh be blood, she shall be put apart for 7 days, and whoever so toucheth her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. Whatsoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And whatsoever toucheth anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And if it be on her bed, or anything whereon she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the even. And if any man lieth with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanliness shall be as the days of her separation, she shall be unclean. Every bed whereon she lieth all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation, and whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanliness of her separation. And whatsoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number herself 7 days. And after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for an issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, and that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that hath the issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that hath an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. I think this might be referring to menstruation, but I'm not 100% sure. Leviticus 15 drafts the final comprehensive manual on personal hygiene and bodily purity within the camp, specifically regulating bodily discharges. In the structural architecture of Leviticus, this chapter functions as the direct bookend to the purity laws that began in chapter 11. They lay out through a strict symmetrical grid addressing both male and female conditions of 2 distinct legal categories: chronic abnormal biological discharges, which require intensive quarantine and sacrificial decontamination, and normal transitory biological discharges, which require simple, short-term washing protocols. It's critical to emphasize that this chapter is entirely free of moral judgment. The condition listed are regular, natural, human biological functions or common illnesses. However, because these fluids represent the depletion of our generation, of the human life force, they are structurally restricted from immediate proximity to the absolute life and emergency of the tabernacle sanctuary. The law first addresses long-term pathological conditions such as infections, hemorrhages, or chronic illnesses of the reproductive system. The middle section of the chapter handles routine, healthy biological functions that occur in daily adult life. These require no animal sacrifices whatsoever, relying entirely on basic timeout water purification. All right, the routine for male discharge, a normal involuntary nocturnal event or marital intimacy. The individual must bathe their entire bodies in water or remain temporarily unclean strictly until the evening. Any garments or skin touched by the fluid must be laundered. Referring to involuntary nocturnal events or marital intimacy. So, all right. And then the routine female cycle, the regular monthly menstrual cycle. The law mandates a strict protective 7-day window of ritual isolation. Anyone who touches her or intimate or immediate seating furniture becomes unclean until the evening. Okay. The chapter wraps up by laying bare to the exact structural threat that these daily bodily functions present to a national collective security. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanliness, that they die not in their uncleanliness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. By mandating a definitive 7-day break during regular monthly cycles or acute physical illness, the law forced the community to provide a protected, stress-free space for women and the sick. In a grueling, labor intensive desert economy, the framework protected individuals from physical exploitation, granting a mandatory, legally enforced rest window free from regular domestic or religious duties. From a pure public health standpoint, these intense regulations regarding washing clothes, bathing in running water, and smashing porous clay pots exposed to infections, and washing wooden furniture functioned as an incredibly advanced antibacterial protocol long before modern day discovery of germ theory. These strict boundary lines effectively contained the spread of contagious reproductive tract infections within a highly dense population of millions living in close quarters. The closing warning in verse 31 reinforces that purity is about respect for space. God does not condemn the human body for its natural biological functions. He designed them. However, by drawing a sharp line between these highly mortal bodily functions and uncompromised immortal space of the tabernacle, the text teaches that approaching what is holy requires intentionality, preparation, and self-awareness. It prevents us from treating sacred spaces with casual carelessness. All right. Leviticus 16, Day of Atonement. And the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, and when they offered before the Lord and died. And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all in the times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Whoa, God's going to come and sit upon the mercy seat. Thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breech upon his flesh, and he shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with the linen mitre shall he be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. He shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for him, and make an atonement for himself for his house. And he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of the fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, that the clouds of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he die not. And he shall take the blood of the bullock and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, to do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat. And before the mercy seat he shall make an atonement for the holy place, because of the uncleanliness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sin. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanliness. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out, and he have made an atonement for himself, and for his household, and for the congregation of Israel. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make an atonement for it, and shall take the blood of the bullock and the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it and hallow it from the uncleanliness of the children of Israel. And when he hath made an end of reconciling the holy place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat, and Aaron shall lay both of his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions in all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto the land not inhabited. And he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. And Aaron shall come into the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall put off the linen garments, and he shall put on what he went into the holy place, and he shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put his garments and come forth, and put on his garments and come forth, and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, and make an atonement for himself and for the people. And the fat of the sin offering shall he burn upon the altar. And he that let go the goat for the scapegoat shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh, and afterwards come into the camp. And the bullock for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought into make an atonement in the holy place, shall one carry forth without the camp. And they shall burn in the fire their skins and their flesh and their dung. And he that burneth them shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he shall come into the camp. And this shall be a statute for ever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls, and do not work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth with you. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you, to cleanse you, that ye may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. And the priest whom he shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office in his father's stead, shall make an atonement, and shall put on linen clothes, even the holy garments, and he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priests, and for all the people of the congregation. And this shall be an everlasting statute unto you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel for all the sins once a year. And he did as the Lord commanded Moses. Whoa. The scapegoat. Crazy. Leviticus 16 marks the absolute engine room and structural high point of the entire book. It introduced the protocols for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Notice the immediate narrative timestamp in verse 1. This legislation is delivered directly after the death of the two sons of Aaron who were incinerated for bringing strange fire into the sanctuary. God uses that catastrophe to draw an absolute permanent boundary around the innermost room of the tabernacle, the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant lies. No one is allowed to enter this room whenever they want. The high priest is granted access only once a year on the 10th day of the 7th month. Under 710. That's crazy. That's like a cannabis holiday. Under strict legal litigation, Yom Kippur acts as the ultimate annual cleaning cycle for the nation, purging the entire tabernacle system of the accumulated moral pollution from the past 12 months. Before Aaron can execute the public purge, he must strip away all status symbols, leave his gold-woven and gemstone-laden high priest robes outside, and dress in entirely plain white linen garments, the clothing of a humble servant. He secures his assets, a young bull for his personal household sin offering, a ram for a burnt offering, and 2 identical male goats from the congregation. He stands the 2 goats at the tabernacle door and casts lots to divide them into 2 distinct operational tracks. Goat 1, Yahweh's lot, chosen to be slaughtered as a direct sin offering, and Aziel's lot, chosen to be the live scapegoat sent into exile. What? Aaron slaughters his personal bull. He fills the censer with burning coals from the outdoor bronze altar, and takes 2 handfuls of sweet incense and steps through the heavy veil into a pitch black Holy of Holies. Once the internal physical room is completely scrubbed, cleaned, and of defilement, Aaron walks out to the live scapegoat, Aziel. He executes one of the most powerful visual moments in the text. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions and all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness. Aaron presses both hands onto the goat's skull, serving as a legal conduit to transfer the collective guilt, crimes, and moral debts of millions onto the animal. The designated handler leads the goat miles away into the jagged, barren desert, releasing it into an uninhabited wasteland where the sins can never be tracked or seen again. Aaron then returns to the tent, washes his body in holy water, changes back into his majestic golden robe, and processes the final burnt offering for himself and the nation. God seals the day as a permanent annual law. On the 10th day of the 7th month, the entire nation must observe a strict Sabbath of Sabbaths. The population must fast completely for 24 hours, abstaining from food and physical luxury. 0 work is permitted, applying equally to native-born citizens and foreign immigrants living within the borders. The dual dimension of forgiveness. Why did God require 2 goats instead of just 1? Because true forgiveness requires 2 distinct actions, both of which are beautifully visualized here. The first goat dies, demonstrating that sin carries a heavy legal cost that must be paid. The second goat rides out alive, demonstrating that God removes the memory and weight of our mistakes completely away from us. It satisfies both legal and emotional relief. The requirement for the high priest to strip off his gold gemstones and wear plain white linen to enter the presence teaches that the prestige carries 0 weight before God. When dealing with deep-seated failures and structural corrections, you must drop the corporate titles, the ego, and the self-justification, approaching the table in raw transparency. Yom Kippur proves that even with the day, individuals sacrifice sacrifices running perfectly all year, a community still needs a systemic high level structural reset. Minor compromises, blind spots, and unconfessed errors build up over time like dust on a motherboard. Taking a deliberate, mandatory time out to review the books, fast, and clear the slate guarantees the collective health and long, long, longevity of the organization. All right. What is a zeal? I need to figure out more about that. The exact identity of a zeal is one of the oldest mysteries in biblical scholarship. While some later traditions do link the name to a demonic figure, it is not the standard biblical name for the devil. Scholars and linguists generally break down the meaning of Azazel into three distinct theories. The literal translation, the goat that goes away, this is the most traditional view and reason for the English word scapegoat. The word can be read as a compound of two Hebrew words, goat and azal, meaning to go away or vanish. In this view, Azazel is not a person or a place, it's simply a descriptive title for the asset function. It is literally the goat of departure. What? Or the goat that is sent away into exile. When the Tyndale translated the Bible into English in 1530, he coined the phrase scapegoat to capture this exact concept. Jeez. The text states that the is the most canceled man in comics. Slavery is a choice. What? Sorry. In this view, a zeal is not a person or place. It is simply a descriptive title for the asset function, literally the goat of departure or the goat that is sent away into exile. When Tyndale translated the Bible into English in 1530, he coined the phrase scapegoat to capture this exact concept. Text states that the goat is sent into the wilderness of Azazel. Ancient rabbinic traditions in the Talmud suggest that Azazel was a specific name for a harsh rocky terrain or jagged cliff in the Judeo desert where the handler would lead the goat. In later historical periods, the handler would actually push the goat backwards off a steep cliff to ensure it died and could never accidentally wander back into the human camp carrying a nation's defilement. Leviticus 16:8 states that Aaron casts lots, one lot for the Lord and one lot for Azazel, because the text steps up a parallel structure contrast, one lot for Yahweh and one lot for Azazel. Many scholars argue that Azazel must be a proper name for a specific entity. In ancient Near Eastern geography, the barren wild desert was viewed as the home of chaotic spirits and wild beasts. This third view exploded during a period between the Old Testament and New Testament. The ancient Jewish text, the Book of Enoch, Azazel, that's how you say it, is named as one of the primary leaders of the fallen angels who rebelled against God, corrupted humanity, and taught them warfare and witchcraft. Must have been how the Pharaoh's wizards got their magic. Is if you take the third theory, then Azazel is a demonic figure. He functions differently than Satan. Satan in the Hebrew Bible acts as primarily as the accuser or prosecuting attorney in the divine courtroom. like in the book of Job, exposing human flaws. Azazel is viewed more like a regional wilderness demon or a symbol of raw chaos and destruction. By sending a sin-laden goat to Azazel in the wasteland, the ritual is not offering a sacrifice to the demon, which was the barren, chaotic abyss of the wilderness, completely outside the domain of God's living kingdom. Whoa. Leviticus 17, the law of holiness. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, Sacrifices, this is the thing which the Lord hath commanded, saying, What man soever there be of the house of Israel that killeth an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, or that killeth it out of the camp, and bringeth not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer an offering unto the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, blood shall be imputed unto that man. He hath shed blood, that the man shall be cut off from among his people, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer, into the open field, even that they may bring them unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, and offer them for a peace offering unto the Lord. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat of a sweet savor unto the Lord. Then they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. And thou shalt say unto them, whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers which sojourn among you, that that offereth a burnt offering or sacrifice, and bringeth it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer it to the Lord, even that man shall be cut off among his people. And whatsoever there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and I will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul you shall eat the blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood. Whatsoever the man there be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, which hunteth, that catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, whatsoever, even pour out the blood thereof, or cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for the life thereof. Thereof I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh. For the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whatsoever eateth it shall be cut off. And every soul that eateth that which die of itself, or that which was torn with beasts, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. Then he shall be clean. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then he shall bear his iniquity. What? Crazy. Leviticus 17 serves as the absolute geopolitical architectural hinge of the book. Up until this point, the text provided an operational code for the interior sanctuary and the boundary lines of personal lifestyle hygiene. Now, chapters 17 through 26 transition into what scholars call the Holiness Code. This section details how a multi-citizen population practically executes a holy civilization out of the open landscape. This chapter sets up a zero-tolerance security perimeter around the centralization worship of God and clamps down where animals can be slaughtered and establishes an absolute permanent cosmic ban on the consumption of blood. God issues a sweeping emergency decree to the entire camp. If a citizen slaughters an ox, a lamb, or a goat for food, whether inside the camp perimeter or out in the open fields, without physically marching that animal to the door of the tabernacle to present it as a peace offering, the state logs that act as severe capital offense. Blood shall be imputed unto that man. He hath shed blood, that man shall be cut off from among his people. Whoa. God shifts the focus from where to kill an animal to how to treat its life force. He addresses both native Israelites and foreign immigrants living within the borders, stating that if anyone consumes any manner of blood, God will set his face against that soul and cut him off from the collective identity. He delivers a definitive biological and theological rationale in verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for your soul. Whoa. The chapter wraps up by handing the commercial sanitation cleanup. If a citizen or a foreigner eats the meat of an animal that has died naturally or on its own, or was torn to pieces by a wild predator, they inherit a baseline tier of textual unclean tracking. They must immediately launder their clothes, bathe their entire body in water, and remain completely isolated until evening. If they neglect this decontamination protocol, the law declares they must bear their own iniquity. The strict requirement brings all slaughtering directly to the tabernacle door, shows that an environment dictates behavior. If you leave open loops or ambiguous areas in the system, people will naturally drift back to legacy habits or compromise shortcuts. True structural integrity requires establishing clear centralized tracking points where actions can be audited, ensuring the culture remains aligned with its core mission. The core axiom that life of the flesh is in the blood forces a profound psychological respect for creation. The law teaches that taking a life to sustain your own is a serious transaction. You cannot treat it with casual indifference. Covering the spilled blood with dirt was a structural act of humility, acknowledging that life force brings inherently to the Creator, not for consumption only. By explicitly stating that blood belongs exclusively on the altar to buy back human failure, the text establishes a profound economic replacement. It emphasizes that the soul cannot be redeemed by a human willpower, monetary wealth, or intellectual strategy. Reconciliation requires the surrender of a Colleen substitute life force, laying down the ultimate foundations for the New Testament theology regarding the finality of the bloodshed by Jesus. What? That's cool. All right. Leviticus 18, marriage. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do after the doings of the land of Canaan. Whither I bring you shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinance to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, for which a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for theirs is thine own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister, she is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife, she is thine aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law, she is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of the woman in her and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness besides the other in her lifetime. And thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire of Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not lie with mankind and with womankind. It is an abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast or defile thyself where therewithin. Neither shall any woman stand before the beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. What? Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewithin. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Things, for it is all these things the nations are defiled, which I cast you out before, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth with you. For these abominations have the men of the land done, which there were before you. The land is defiled. That which is spun not you out also. When ye defile it, it is spun out the nations that you were before you. Whatsoever whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God. I think those are some solid boundary lines to lay down. Jeez. Leviticus 18 is the primary legal boundary line guarding sexual ethics and family structures within the emerging nation. Notice how God frames the entire chapters in verse 1 through 5. He establishes a severe contrast between the culture Israel left behind and the culture that they are about to enter. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. In the ancient Near East, royal families and local tribes routinely used incestuous marriages, sexual exploitation, and tribal rituals to concentrate wealth and power. God completely outlaws these practices, building an ironclad wall around the nuclear family unit to protect the vulnerable, preserve genetic health, and establish a distinct moral identity. The core architecture of the chapter relies on a definitive phrase repeated throughout the text. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. The law maps out a comprehensive structural grid of prohibited domestic relationships, explicitly blocking sexual access within the extended household. The primary lineage, parents, mothers, fathers, and children. Secondary lineages, step parents, full siblings, half siblings, and step siblings. Extended kinship, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, and daughter in laws. And collateral alliances, marrying a woman and her sister simultaneously while both are living, which presents the destructive domestic rivalry famously seen in historical lineage of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. The text transitions to an immediate family boundary to broader behavioral litigation governing civil society. Hygienic respect in verse 19 bans sexual intimacy during woman's regular monthly menstruation isolation window, reinforcing that respect for natural biological boundaries introduced in chapter 15. Verse 20 outlines marital integrity, an absolute ban on adultery. Violating a neighbor's marriage boundary inflicts direct moral pollution on the self and the community. Verse 21, the ultimate devastation. Slid directly into the middle of the sexual code serves a prohibition against child sacrifice. And thou shalt not let any of your seed pass through the fire of Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. In Canaanite worship, infants were offered to the bronze furnace of the god Molech to secure financial prosperity and agricultural yields. God classifies the destruction of the family's next generation as ultimate profanation. Wow. And thou shalt not let any of your seed pass through the fire of Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. In Canaanite worship, infants were offered to the bronze furnace of the god of Molech to secure financial prosperity and agricultural yields. God classifies the destruction of the family's next generation as the ultimate profanation. Jeez. Yeah, don't do that. That's messed up. Sacrificing children to the fire of Molech. I was a little bit worried that like the bronze altar in the tabernacle was like the same thing, but I guess it's not. That's good they outlined it. All right, verse 22, banning male same-sex intercourse and classifying the disruption of the designated reproductive architecture as an abomination. And then verse 22, an absolute prohibition against sexual contact with animals for both men and women, protecting the basic biological definition of human identity. The chapter concludes with the powerful geopolitical warning. God explains that the current Canaanite nations are not being evicted from their territory because of a random geographic whim. They are being driven out because of their systemic sexual exploitation and child sacrifice have physically corrupted the land itself. Defile ye not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these nations are defiled which I cast you out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. God issues a stern warning to Israel. The land is entirely nonpartisan. If the new citizens adopt the exact same exploitive behaviors, the land will execute the exact same environmental response. It will vomit out Israel just as it did the Canaanites. Whoa. By creating a strict legal boundary against incest, the law effectively dismantled the rampant domestic exploitation common in ancient Near World. It transformed the home from a dangerous space of sexual vulnerability and raw power dynamics into a safe, high-trust sanctuary where the children could grow and family members could interact without predatory fear. Placing the severe warning against the sacrificing of children to Molech directly inside the sexual ethics manual is an intentional structural choice. It highlights that the ultimate goal of a healthy sexual ethic is the protection and preservation of the next generation. A society that prioritizes short-term personal gratification or economic prosperity at the literal expense of its children's lives has completely fractured its internal alignment. The graphic metaphor of the land vomiting out the inhabitants teaches that moral laws carry structural consequences. The physical environment and the social fabric cannot sustain long-term systemic corruption without breaking down. Integrity is not just a collection of arbitrary rules to restrict freedom. It is the central operating system required to prevent a society from collapsing on itself. Whoa, this chapter is crazy. Wow. All right. Leviticus 19, general statutes. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make yourselves molten gods. I am your Lord God. Last time he said that, they totally built a gold calf the next day. And if ye offer a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, ye shall offer it at your own will. It shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow, that if aught remain until the third day, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable, and it shall not be accepted. Therefore, every one that eateth it shall bear his iniquity, because he hath profaned the hallowed thing of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field. Either shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest, and thou shalt not glean thy vineyard. Neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie to one another. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put stumbling blocks before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord. Ye shall not do unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not do unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty judgment. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. And thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in a wise rebuke of thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not average, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall thou garment mingle of linen and woolen come upon thee. Oh, this is like the biblical not mix fabrics. Whatsoever lieth carnally with a woman, that is a bondmaid betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor forgiven her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for his trespassing, and the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord for his sin which he had done, and the sin which he hath done shall be forgiven him. And when ye shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manners of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit of thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be uncircumcised unto you, and it shall not be eaten of. But on the 4th year all the fruit thereof shall be holy, to praise the Lord withal. And in the 5th year ye shall eat the fruit thereof, that they may yield unto the increase thereof. I am the Lord your God. And ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Regard not that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head, and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in the land, ye shall not vex him, but stranger that dwell with you shall be unto you as born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meter yard, in weight, or in measure, just balances, just weights, and just ephah, and just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore ye shall observe my statutes and all my judgments and do them. I am the Lord. Whoa, that was a lot of stuff. Cool. Probably the best chapter of Leviticus so far. Interesting things. Leviticus 19. Well, maybe when Aaron's sons were struck for bringing in the strange fire, that was a pretty wild chapter too. But Leviticus 19 is widely considered by historians and scholars to be the moral heart of the entire book. It is often called the Declarations of Holiness. Notice the unique corporate summons in verse 2. God tells Moses, speak unto the congregation of the children of Israel. This is the mandatory town hall mandate for every single citizen, from elite leaders to daily laborers. God delivers the ultimate structural thesis statement of the Old Testament. Ye shall be holy, for I am the Lord your God, am holy. What follows is a brilliant legal tapestry that weaves the high theology of the Ten Commandments directly into the practical, everyday community management. This chapter proves that holiness is not abstract mystical state achieved by hiding in a cave. It is measured by how you run your business, how you treat your employees, and how you harvest your fields, and how you speak to your neighbors. God outlines the operational codes for maintaining a high integrity, compassionate economy. Verses 9 through 10 represent the gleaming law. When harvesting a grain field or a vineyard, landowners are strictly forbidden from clearing the corners or picking up dropped crops. These leftover margins must be intentionally left behind for the poor and the foreign immigrants, turning corporate welfare into a system of dignified labor. Verses 11 through 13 outline the corporate code, an absolute ban on white-collar fraud, stealing, deceptive negotiating, lying, and using God's name to sign fraudulent contracts. Verse 13 outlines the labor protection clause. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. A business owner must pay day laborers their cash at the end of every shift. Withholding a worker's daily bread to improve personal cash flow is a direct integrity failure. Verse 14 outlines the vulnerability protections. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put stumbling blocks before the blind. Exploiting someone's physical disability for personal amusement or profit is completely banned. Then verse 15 outlines the courtroom standard. Complete judicial blindfoldedness. Judges are forbidden from showing bias to the poor out of pity, or showing favoritism to the wealthy or the powerful without fear. Verse 17 through 18 commands the population to outlaw internal grudges, secret hatred, and gossip. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. The text transitions into a symbolic cultural guardrail designed to keep Israel's identity completely distinct from the surrounding pagan cultures. No hybrid mixing, banning the breeding of cross-species livestock, sowing a field with mixed seeds, or wearing a garment woven of mixed materials like linen and wool. This served as a continuous physical object lesson in keeping categories pure. You're not supposed to mix fabrics or wear a garment woven of mixed materials. So they can't be woven together, but you could wear them separately? I don't know. Verse 23 through 25 states, when planting fruit trees in a new land, the crop is classified as restricted for, for the first 3 years. In the fourth year, the fruit is dedicated to God. Only year 5 can the owner harvest the crop for personal profit, teaching deep long-term sustainability and patience. Verses 26 through 31 absolutely bans on eating meat with blood, practicing witchcraft, fortune telling, or cutting the flesh and tattooing the skin for pagan mourning rituals. They must completely avoid these mediums and wizards. Verse 32 states, thou shalt rise up before a hoary head and honor the face of the old man. A healthy culture mandates a deep public respect and physical deference towards the older generations. The chapter wraps up by linking economic measurements to national memory. God commands that foreign immigrants living within the land must be treated with the exact same legal dignity as native-born citizens. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him, but the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you. So no special treatment. They're just the same as you. Finally, they must maintain perfect calibrated scales, weights, and balances in the marketplace. Tweaking the scale to skim an extra 2% of profit off a customer is treated as a direct assault on the holiness of God. Leviticus 19 shatters the idea that spirituality is confined to temple rituals. The exact same chapter commands worship of the Creator, demands that you pay your employees on time, leave food for the poor, and accurately weigh in your business transactions. True alignment with God is validated on how you treat people around you. The gleaning law proves that a healthy system does not extract 100% of its resources for personal gain. By forcing landowners to leave the corners of their fields intact, the law teaches us to build a margin into our time, wealth, and energy. This margin is designed to be a buffer on safety and provision for the vulnerable, ensuring our success fuels the elevation of others. The command to love the immigrant as yourself is anchored strictly in historical reality check. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. God uses their past pain as a tool to build empathy. It teaches that a high integrity culture never uses its newly found power or status to oppress others. Instead, it uses its history to build a fairer, more compassionate system for everyone. Oh, all right. Leviticus 20. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whatsoever he be of children of Israel, or strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. That's great to hear. And I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from among his people, because he hath giveth his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do any way hide their eyes from that man when he giveth his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and I will cut him off, and all that go a whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. Dang. And the souls that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards from among his people. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God, and keep ye and ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. For every one that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He hath cursed his father or mother, his blood shall be upon him. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress, shall surely be put to death. And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness, both of them shall surely be put to death. And their blood shall be upon them. And if the man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. And this is a good chapter so far. And they have wrath confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you. If a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death. And if a woman, and ye shall slay the beast. The beast gets put to death too. And if a man approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast, and they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain, and she hath uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. What? Okay. If a man lie. Oh, okay. Took me a second to fully understand that. Don't look at her nakedness when she's during her menstrual cycle, I guess. And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, nor thy father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin, they shall bear their iniquity. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he hath uncovered her uncle's nakedness. They shall bear their sin, they shall die childless. Whoa. I thought he was going to be put to death. I guess he just doesn't get a child. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he hath uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They shall bear their sin, they shall die childless. Okay, so they just can't have children. They don't get put to death. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell in therein spew you not out. And ye shall not walk in the manner of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, therefore I abhor them. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from other people. Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beasts, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which have separated you from which I have separated from you as unclean. Ye shall be holy unto me, for I am the Lord, for I the Lord am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. A man or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, and their blood shall be upon them. It reminds me of like the Salem witch trials when they're like trying to stone the witches. This was a cool chapter. Like this sounds like a good God laying down judgment, make sure the people do right. All right, Leviticus 20 acts as the structural judicial enforcer of the boundaries established in chapter 18 and 19. While the previous chapters outline the moral codes and family law, chapter 20 shifts the ethics to criminal prosecution. This chapter lists the specific penalties and capital punishments triggered when a citizen or a foreign resident chooses to cross those lines. The chapter layout is framed with extreme gravity. God states that if a nation fails to execute these punishments, the spiritual and moral pollution will overwhelm the community, causing the land to vomit them out. The text is divided into 3 critical enforcement blocks: crimes against the divine order, capital family sexual crimes, and finally the summary mandate for separation. God begins with the most severe threats to the nation's spiritual and physical infrastructure. Molech sacrifices. If any citizen or immigrant offers their children to the furnace of the pagan god Molech, the law mandates that the absolute death penalty. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. Crucially, God adds that if a local community turns a blind eye to this child abuse to protect a family's reputation, God will personally set his face against that entire clan and cut them off. Wow. Verse 6 turns to mediums, wizards, and spiritualists, classified as a form of spiritual treason. God promises to personally intervene and cut off anyone who attempts to source hidden data from dark, unauthorized spiritual channels. The law maps out that the specific execution profiles for severe violations of social domestic fabric. The chapter concludes by pulling the lens back to reveal the entire point of this intense criminal handbook. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I the Lord am holy, and I have severed you from the other people, that ye should be mine. Verse 27 steals the bookend by mandating that any man or woman who acts as a medium or wizard must be immediately stoned to death, ensuring no active loops of occult corruption remain inside the borders of the nation. The law regarding Molech worship establishes staying silent about a crime that makes the community guilty. Staying silent about a crime makes the community guilty. If a neighbor knew a child was being harmed but did nothing to stop it, God held the entire neighborhood accountable. This teaches a timeless lesson in leadership and community. True integrity requires courage to stand up and protect the vulnerable, rather than sweeping systemic failures under the rug to keep the peace. Dang. We need justice for those Epstein victims, man. They're sacrificing children, need to be put to death. Notice that in cases of adultery or forbidden sexual relationships, the penalties apply equally to both parties involved. In the brutal ancient world, where women were routinely treated as disposable property and men held unchecked authority, the Leviticus Code leveled the playing field of justice. Both individuals were treated as free moral agents who carried identical weight and accountability for their choices. The core concept of holiness in verse 26 is defined as being severed or set apart. To maintain a high integrity, unique identity, you cannot blindly absorb the habits, values, or fluid ethics of your surrounding culture. You must build deliberate, functional boundaries that distinguish your lifestyle, protect your family structures, and keep your core missions completely uncompromised. Wow, Leviticus is starting to get good. First couple of chapters are pretty slow. But no, these are like good, healthy outlines, I would say. And say like, oh, that's pretty fair. You know, if you're abusing children, you probably should be stoned to death. That's messed up, man. Especially if you sacrifice the children, like that's kind of like eye for an eye, I would say. Like death for death. You killed a child, like you should be probably killed. But that's probably a good stopping point. Wild chapter. We'll keep at it some other time.